this man, he got some good news for you. Hey, man, now listen. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house. Doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. The doctor is in the house.
Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in the house. Welcome to another episode of Dr. Ron, Unfiltered, Uncensored, and his Wellness Warriors with a special guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, as I have been saying over the past months, I guess ever since January, we live in a world where medical error is one of the leading causes of death, and you better be doing your own research and becoming a wellness warrior and taking charge of your own well-being. Become a CEO of your body. Question everything. Always questioning. Become passionate about your health. Take charge of your physical, mental, and emotional health. Assume responsibility. Question the norms. Question conventional wisdom. Our guest today has done that. So we want to be proactive as a wellness warrior. And things are changing a lot faster than I ever thought, even in medicine. Recently, a young man who had abdominal pain. He was taken to the urgent care or emergency room. No examination, right to the CAT scan. Radiated. Diagnosed with appendicitis on the CAT scan. Sent to the hospital. Operated on. Never touched except for the laparoscopic appendectomy. No conversation with the surgeon. No questions asked, none answered. So this type of becoming an eye patient and doctors who use iPads and everything else, but no eye contact, you're going to have to get used to that, I'm sorry to say. And I keep telling you what Socrates has said in the past. He says, I can't teach you anything, but I can instruct you and teach you how to think. So I was reading this. He was in the area of 400 BC, and he has been regarded as the father of modern Western philosophy. So his method involved inquisitive forms of dialogue between individuals, and he encouraged healthy questions and answers. He used inductive reasoning to ask a series of logical questions to defend and explain a person's reasoning and conclusions. Now, really, listen to this. In short, Socrates told people to question everything. Just like a wellness warrior, question everything. Socrates was also famous for this quote, I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. You know, we've been through this period of the Chinese virus, and people have said they were the science and don't question anything, and I know what's right. Well, history is rife with ideas, rife with theories. They were once considered gospel truth, only to be found as false and inaccurate. So that's my take for today. As soon as Professor Peskin gets into the program, we'll get him on. But let me just give you an introduction about the professor. He's really an esteemed expert in the field of essential fatty acids. And we're going to be doing occasional shows, which we will subtitle Science Unveiled. And like today, we will dive deep into the world of oils, specifically fish oils, their potential toxicity. Okay, we're going to do this today with the research conducted by the professor. His work on parent essential oils sheds light on healthier alternatives and their practical applications. Fish oils have long been celebrated for their omega-3 fatty acid content, and it was presumed they had health benefits. However, recent studies have raised significant concerns, and even more important, their potential toxicity. Contrary to popular belief, fish oils may not be the panacea they were once thought to be, especially in the supra-pharmacological overdoses they are frequently recommended. What does that big word supra-pharmacological mean? It means toxic doses that are present in these fish oils. So the professor's research challenges this notion that fish oils are the optimal source of omega-3 fatty acids. And when he gets on the program, we'll delve into the concept of parent essential oils, which are the true primary sources of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. And these essential fats, they cannot be synthesized by the body. They must be obtained through the diet or supplements. One of the key insights of the professor's work is that excessive omega-3 intake, primarily from fish oils, can disrupt the balance between the parent omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids and their derivatives. In other words, if you take the parent, the basis for the fatty acids, your body will make what it needs. And when you have an imbalance in your body, you have disease. And this imbalance in fish oils, omega-3, omega-6, can lead to various health issues, including what you don't want, especially as you get older, because it's the basis of most chronic diseases. It can increase inflammation. And in this period of viruses and chemtrails and everything else they're throwing at us, it can compromise your immune function and your immune system. So if you have a compromised immune system and you have inflammation, you're going to be what? You're going to be sick. So again, we're waiting for the professor to call into the show, and it will give him some time. In the meantime, I have some notes that I'll just share with you. So fish oils, huh? All right, let me just summarize what I've been reading about it. The benefit of fish oil supplementation has been grossly overstated. Most of the studies showing fish oil benefits are short-term, lasting less than a year. In other words, there's been no real long-term studies. Before the Chinese virus, vaccines had to be studied for 10 years before they would be released to the public. Just think about that. They released this one in months. The only fish oil study lasting more than 4 years showed an increase in heart disease and sudden death. And fish oils are antifreeze for deep water fish. And when they come to the surface at increased temperatures, they are highly unstable and they are vulnerable to oxidative damage. Guess what? We'll wait for the professor on this one, but I could not find any evidence that healthy people benefit from fish oil supplementation. In fact, I found articles stating that taking several grams of fish oil a day could be hazardous to your health. A study recently published showed that taking 3 grams per deciliter of fish oil in patients with metabolic syndrome increased their low-density lipoprotein levels and increased their insulin resistance. Cochrane studies. They it's an organization that does analysis of trials and studies that have been done. They did an analysis of trials lasting longer than 6 months, and they say the cardiovascular benefits of fish oils have been dramatically overstated. They analyzed 79 trials to come up with that. And as I say, these omega-3 fatty acids, because they have all these extra bonds, are highly vulnerable to oxidative damage. These fat particles oxidize, they break down into smaller compounds, and they are dangerous, and they can damage our DNA. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just take a quick little break here, and we will be right back.
Hey, Doc.
Hey, how are you? Oh, there you are.
Good.
Okay. I was just looking on the phone to see if you had called me. Good afternoon, Dr. Peskin. I've already introduced you. I already introduced the concept that fish oils are toxic and they are prone to oxidation.
Yes.
And there's been no long-term studies except one that I saw, and you probably know a lot. I know you know a lot more than I do. One study that lasted for more than 4 years showed an increase in heart disease and sudden death. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I got a good amount. You can just let me go on this for about 10 minutes, and it'll be
I do want you
boom.
to lay the groundwork for this audience that was so. By the way, we were up 147% in listeners last week, and
Excellent.
all of them want more practical, down to earth information. So, Professor Peskin, God bless you. Go ahead.
Thanks. First thing, Doc, everybody needs to know we have 100 trillion cells. Half of every cell's membrane is lipid. The other half is protein. Out of that lipid part, 25 to 33% are what I call parent essential oils, PEOs. They are the brick and mortar of every one of those 100 trillion cells. LA, linoleic acid, and ALA, alpha linolenic acid. And I know all over the internet, everybody is saying how bad LA is. They don't know what they're talking about. The average tissue, like the heart and the liver, 4-to-1 parent omega 6 in favor of. All of your muscles, 50% of your body weight, 6.5-to-1 in favor of omega 6, the parent. Your fat stores, 20-to-1 in favor of the parent omega 6 because the body knows how important it is if you can't eat and if you're in starvation mode like we were hundreds of years ago. The average, when you do a little algebra, 12-to-1. So anybody telling you you're getting overdosed on omega 6 needs to go back to high school and learn some algebra. Actually, elementary school, we're overdosed in adulterated processed omega 6 that doesn't work. And let me give you a couple things because people are so used to hearing omega 6 is bad, bad, bad. Going back to 2009, American Heart Association, given omega 6 has a bad reputation even back then. It's unfounded. Quote, that reflects a rather naive understanding of the biochemistry. Sounds like this reviewer is familiar with my work because that's the way I talk about these people that should shut their mouths. Omega 6 derivatives, powerful anti-inflammatory properties. That's the PGE1 to counteract any pro-anti-inflammatory. Quote, it's incorrect to view the omega 6 fatty acids as pro-inflammatory. And let me give you two things here. Medical journals. This first one, Journal of Biological Chemistry, which no doctor reads. They read JAMA, Lancet, that sort of thing, because they read drug-based clinical. They don't read theoretical physiology like I do. But it DHA 2018 Journal Biological Chemistry 2018 DHA, that's your marine oil, fish oil, krill oil, blue lipid based lips muscle, whatever the heck it is, squid. I don't care if it comes from the sea, it's loaded with DHA. And by the way, DHA and EPA are what they do is they stop the fish from freezing. So it's antifreeze for a fish. If I threw you in the water, Doc, and frigid temperature, 30 degrees, 20 degrees, you'd die. You'd freeze into an ice cube. So nature has two choices. Either give the fish the DHA EPA or give it alcohol. Well, if you gave it alcohol, you'd have a drunk fish. So it does the long chain fats. Like if you throw omega-6 oils in the refrigerator, they don't freeze. So it's antifreeze for a fish. But here's the thing. 2018, the DHA from the fish oil, the marine oil, ruins cardiac mitochondria. That means it does not have the energy to pump the heart. That means you're on the road to congestive heart failure. And then the article says the parent omega-6 rescues the major remodeling of the cardiolipin lipidome induced by long intake of DHA, which means cardiolipin is in the inner layer of the mitochondria. Mitochondria, there's thousands per cell, so there's actually more energy makers. The cellular energy is all mitochondria. Inner layer, cardiolipin, it's all parent omega-6. You take fish oil in the dosage they recommend, it displaces the omega-6, puts that in, and it ruins it. You put the omega-6 back in, it rescues. And you'll love this. It's not the loss of the omega-6 alone. It's the replacement, the forcing out of the parent omega-6 with the DHA that promoted the reduction in activities. So if you want to be on the road to heart disease, beautiful. Keep taking that fish oil. Not good enough for you if you're diabetic. Diabetes, number one health problem in America and around the world. 1988, 89, 2003. Fish oil raises blood sugar levels and blunts the insulin response. Let me repeat that again. Fish oil, all marine oils, raise resting blood sugar levels and blunt the insulin response, meaning your insulin doesn't work well. This was in 1989, Metabolism. Annals of Internal Medicine, that's a magazine that medical publication physicians used to read. British Journal of Medical Nutrition, they used to read that too. Now they don't read anything. This is all there. Gets worse. You have existing heart disease called atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries. Fish oil makes it worse. New England Journal of Medicine. This is America's top medical journal. The doctors do read. 1986. Patients with atherosclerosis, prostacyclin production fell by 42% during the fish oil period. What is prostacyclin? It's an omega-6 derivative. This is the omega-6. Everybody on the internet and everybody is parroting how bad it is because they don't know what they're talking about. 42%. It is your body's natural blood thinner keeping the platelets from sticking together. So if you want your platelets sticking together and put you on the path to a heart attack and occlusion, keep taking the fish oil. I get so passionate about this because it's so bad. And why the problem, Doc? Because 95% of people only need 5 milligrams of DHA a day. 5 milligrams. To put that in perspective, 1,000 milligram capsule is one fish oil capsule. It's typically 60% DHA EPA. Okay, that'd be 600 milligrams. 600 divided by 5 is what? 120. One capsule of that fish oil, you're getting 120 times more DHA, EPA than you need in the brain. That is called a super pharmacologic overdose. Ask your pharmacist. And the analogy is like taking 100 aspirin in the morning. Don't do that. I'm being very facetious. You will die and bleed to death. This is with one capsule, Doc. They're telling people to have 4 grams of fish oil a day. That would be 2,000 times more than the body has. You are out of your mind. Insulin resistance goes down. The resistance goes up by 40%, meaning you need 40% more insulin to get the same amount of effectiveness. But Brian, cod liver oil is the way. Yeah, right, cod liver oil. International Journal of Cancer, 1997, they looked at cod oil. The women taking the cod oil got 3 times the melanoma, which is the worst type of skin cancer you can get. On and on and on. These are all top medical journals. Phenomenal studies. That one was a 12-year study. Histology, major cancer registry. And it was in a country, surrounded by water where they didn't want that result to happen. They tried to bury that. It was in Norway. That's the last thing they wanted to show is this fish oil is going to harm you. It's unbelievable. And it's like all this is forgotten. None of it's talked about. Again, I get so passionate about this because nobody is doing anything. And the DHA, EPA in the dosages they are giving you oxidizes at room temperature. This is known because Holbert in Australia did a pile of work with this, talking about oxidation of fish oil. It spontaneously goes bad at room temperature, Doc. This is why the fish area in the supermarkets was so horrible. It would smell. Now they did get rid of the smell. They probably use bleach or something. But it oxidizes at room temperature. What's our temperature? 98.6. Well, if it oxidizes at 72, what the heck is going on? 90. It's turning rancid even more. Can you prove that the fish, it's antifreeze for a fish? Yeah. Dr. Rowan told me, he goes, Brian, look at a cold water fish at 30 degrees. Look at a warm water fish at 70. The 70-degree fish has 14 times less DHA in it. 14 times less. There's your proof. It's antifreeze for the fish. But Brian, our brains are loaded with DHA. Well, it's 14% DHA. That's correct. It's also 10% arachidonic acid, which is the omega-6 side. Nobody talks about that. 10% compared with 14%, it's 40% difference. It's in the same order of magnitude. It's not like it's tenfold or 10, anything like that. It's small difference. The average half-life is 2.5 years. So that means every molecule of DHA stays in that brain for 2.5 years. Brian, how the heck is that possible? I thought we had big cellular turnover. Not with the oils. That is your antioxidants in the brain. Now, here's the problem, Doc. People are stupidly taking this fish oil and marine oil because they're listening to liars, and they don't know this. So what happens is, because you're overdosing on this stuff, all the antioxidants come out of the brain, going into the bloodstream to go, hey, Doc, why is this patient having all this fish oil? I got to do something about it. Now it leaves your brain unprotected. And what do we have? Epidemics of Alzheimer's and dementia. Coincides perfectly, right, with this big craze in fish oil. So people are insane. And I'm all about, just so people have a practical thing, anything you need with oils, make sure it's organic. Make sure it has lots of parent omega-6. That's LA, because you need it, 12-1 in the body. And no fish oil supplements. If you want to eat a hunk of fish, that's okay. Typically, it's cooked. I know they have sushi, but the oil and the amount in there is not a processed food. Remember, fish oil is a highly processed food. And here's one last one. With the processed adulterated oils, And to get long shelf life, they are making the oils impervious to oxygen degradation. The cells can sense this. Another great article, Molecular Cell. How many people look at that one? Response by the lipid bilayer stress talks about how those 100 trillion cells in the lipid portion of the cell membrane, if it has an adulterated oil in it, it stays in chronic inflammation. Every disease stock outside of Parkinson's is known to be caused by chronic inflammation. That includes cancer, heart disease, diabetes, COPD, all inflammation. And I'm delighted because we have a new medical food. It's called Easy Trek. If anybody has chronic inflammation, disease, or disorder, we can help nutritionally compensate for that. We're getting incredible results with heart disease, diabetes, COPD, any inflammatory type disease, and people can look it up. Easy Trek, EZTREK, and it's at goodforhealth.org. It's a phenomenal new product. It's the greatest anti-inflammatory there is. Well, I've done a lot of talking. I'm sure you have a question or two. There's a lot more, but what I want everybody to know is the world's leading medical journals have a long history of how bad and how unneeded fish oil and all marine oils are. I don't care about anybody talking. There's a guy on the internet lying about cardiolipin. Oh, cardiolipin can change depending on what you eat. Yeah, but what's it supposed to be? All parent omega-6. You take their marine oil and it ruins it, just like that article in Molecular Biochemistry was talking about. We keep getting misled. The experts are all misleading us. And if you don't learn this stuff on your own, and I hope people will check me out, a lot of this is here at brianpeskin.com. B as in boy, RIAN, P as in parent, ESKIN.com. It's a lot of information there, but you need the science. We are one of the unhealthiest countries in the world with more money than anybody else. Why? We have better hospitals, better doctors, better medicine. We have everything because we're listening to the wrong people and unknowingly harming ourselves. Like with the diabetics and fish oil, it blunts the insulin response, makes you worse. The fatty fish was worse than the lean fish like cod. You want to eat cod, that's fine, but don't eat some oily fish. And we're getting lied to. I don't sugarcoat. Forget misleading. Forget the guy didn't know. If he's opening his mouth and supposed to know, then he's a damn liar. And I'll say it. I'll tell anybody. If I'm giving misinformation, I deserve to be shot. I've made that case for the past 25 years. Nobody's taken me up on it. They all bitch about me because they're making a pile of money with fish oil. So I am very, very hated. And they'll lie, cheat, and steal about me just like they do with Trump. Doesn't matter what they say. You know, Russian collusion, that's the exact opposite with the other side and all that nonsense. And that's what they did with this. I have never been shown materially incorrect in anything I've ever published. Singular.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that's why I really love having Professor Peskin on the program. And I guess it goes back to his MIT training. And as I said in the beginning of the program, which you may not have heard, that he uses the Socrates method, being inquisitive, and he's not afraid to be questioned. And I love that part of it. And he's not afraid to enter into a dialogue and have a healthy question and answer session.
Of course.
And I love it. And I think, he does not take a reductionist point of view. He's looking at the whole picture.
Right.
Not just looking, right? I'm not saying anything that's not true,
You're
right?
absolutely right. I'm a systems guy. Okay, if you say this and it does this, how does it influence that? And how does it influence that? So what I tell everybody is the minute you say something, I'm 2 levels below what you said. That implies this, that implies that. What's going to happen? You start using different terms, for example, like we have with all this gender garbage. A rose is not a cactus. A cactus isn't a rose. You don't use them intermixed. They both have some thorns in them, maybe, but they're different things. A biological boy is not a biological girl. You don't sugarcoat stuff. You stay with what it is, because you start changing terms, you're gone. It's like you have a country with no borders, you have no country. You don't have science when you let terms become whatever the heck you want. 2 and 2 is 4 in base 10. If you go, what's 2 and 2? Well, it could be something else in a different base 2, like they do in computers. So you got to ask a very specific question, but there's only one answer. Everything is not relative. Einstein never said such a stupid thing. If I'm talking to you now, I can't be driving my car, right? And concentrating. I'd get into a car accident. Or I can't be, eating a candy bar because I'm talking. So everything is not relative. There's absolutes. And that's where I am. We're not made to be having fish oil. The body makes it. And I didn't say this, but there's parents and derivatives. So parents are the brick and mortar, and the body makes derivatives as needed. And with the delta-6 desaturase, which is the biggest pathway to combat inflammation, there's 9 diseases and disorders that are known to have an impairment in that. So we have autoimmune diseases through the roof, and that is the reason. So Easy Trek combats that, and you can talk to your doctor about it and give them the information, because it's a new product, but there's nothing on the planet like it. So I'm just delighted. I hope people will check me out. I hope people will check Easy Trek out and keep on listening and learn this science, because if you don't learn it, you want to be lazy, you're going to have a bad future, and it's going to be painful, and most people suffer very painful deaths. It's not the average, I just die in my sleep, which is the way it should be. They have a long, debilitating death, and there's no reason on earth for it. Cancer, heart disease, diabetes, none of them are genetic. That is a complete lie. You're going to be told it by everybody because you want an answer, you're going to get one. Of course, it's the wrong answer, but they got to give you an answer. And that's absolute garbage. We didn't have any of that in the 1900s. People lived a long life as long as they made it to 20. That's called a conditional probability. So you have to ask the question, given you survived to age 20, what's the probability you make it to 100? It was pretty high. There was virtually no cancer in 1900, 5%. Well, Brian didn't know what cancer was. Oh, really? They didn't know what cancer was. I was in the medical library at MD Anderson, Jesse James Library. Had my hands on 1850 Lancet. 1900, every doctor knew what cancer was. You look at it, it's a mess. So once again, we have people answering questions that don't know what the heck they're talking about, and they should shut up. I will tell people I don't know the answer if I don't, and you're obligated to. Today, everybody gives you an answer. They all lie. Nobody checks it. It's horrific. I am so disgusted with the medical profession, and I'm in it. It's just sad and tragic, and most people will never admit they're wrong. If I'm wrong, if somebody showed me I'm wrong, I would change in a second and apologize to everybody within 2 minutes. Today, nobody, no, they won't do it. I'm always right. I'm always right. It's disgusting. And I hope people listen to this and save themselves before it's too late.
I just have 1 or 2 questions, because you have covered everything beautifully.
Thank you.
1 question: diet. What are your recommendations for our listeners, our wellness warriors,
Sure.
on diet?
I'm more of a lower carb person, so the ketogenic diet is fine, but you got to make sure you're getting the oils in there. So I recommend everybody have a proper supplement, higher protein, lower carbohydrate, the fats, saturated fat you can have, but if you live on it, and a lot of keto people do have a pile of saturated fat, it monopolizes the delta-6 desaturase side, and will not give you enough of the anti-inflammatory. So it's a complicated thing. It's not going to clog your arteries because saturated fat biochemically can't do anything. So I like the cheese, bacon, butter, eggs. Make sure you get organic because any fat is where the pesticide residue and the steroid residue goes and the preservative residues. Spend the money on organic there. So bacon, eggs, cheese, butter, all of that is fine. Get real cheese. Don't get fake cheese. Salads are great. You can have a big salad with chicken on it, tuna fish on it. And by the way, you don't need to be taking piles of water. That's more BS sold by the water companies. For example, 93% water content is lettuce. 58% water content is a cooked steak. If you look at a cat, they virtually have no water because it's in the food, unless you're getting them, pellet stuff or something. But natural food, they need virtually no water. So everything the average person's been told is a lie to make money. But I am very low carb. You don't need any carbs. Your body makes carbs.
Gotcha.
You have
All right.
glucogenesis from your own stored body fat. So a lower carb diet is absolutely the way to go. Make sure any of the oils is organic. Anything with fat is more organic. That's the best thing I can tell people. Eating twice a day is all you need to have this human billy goat syndrome. Eating 6 times a day is moronic. Your pancreas is designed to spit out insulin twice a day. This is right out of the textbook of medical physiology. The number one physician used medical textbook in medical school for the past 19 years throughout North America. It's right there. So how any doctor could allow a stupid nutritionist to say you need 6 small meals a day ought to be shot. It's just unbelievable. You do that, you eat 6 times a day, you will be diabetic. It may take you 10, 15 years, but you will be. You're blowing out your pancreas.
Hey, Professor, two more questions for our listeners.
Of course.
Should they be, number one, should they be concerned at all about the ratio debate between omega-6 and omega-3? And number two, you have covered about processing. Is there any other supplements beside Easy Trek, which Easy Trek might be more of a pharmacological supplement? Is there any other supplements that you recommend?
Yeah, very good question. With the ratio, 12-1 is the tissue ratio. So anybody saying we're overdosed on parent omega-6 is an idiot. You don't need to worry about that. You need to make sure you have enough omega-6 in the diet that's unprocessed, unadulterated, and don't listen to this blood spot stuff you get with the blood testing for omega-6, omega-3. You can get it, but don't listen to their ratios they're telling you because they're made up. So the biggest thing is you need organic oils, and don't waste your time, and do not take any marine oil. Your body makes it on purpose. There are 2 things. Easy Trek is you have a disease disorder. That's for that. That's a medical food. If you don't, you can look at yes-supplements.com. That is a supplement with oils. It's not made for any disease. It's just made to give you the right ratios in your body. So as a supplement, if you take that every day, just like a vitamin mineral, I don't take any vitamins. I do recommend minerals because they're not in the food. Vitamins are still in the food. But if you want the best supplement on the planet for EFAs, it's YES hyphen supplements.com. And you can read about the oils. It's my formulation, and it's just absolutely superb. So Easy Trek, if you have a disease disorder, you need help with your doctor with the anti-inflammation. If you just want to be good, stay good, you're not too bad shape, and you want to maintain the right ratios in your body from a supplement, not have to worry too much about what you eat, Yes-supplements.com. And by the way, the oils in the tissue go in as the percentage of what you eat. So if I eat 25% adulterated processed cooking oils, from fast food, even fine restaurants, they're all doing it now. Nobody has good oils because they're way too much money. I get organic fermented coconut oil. It's $50 a gallon. Now it lasts a year. I mean, that's a long time. But I spend the money. Most people don't. And I like coconut oil because it's fully saturated fat. It can't screw up. Avocado oil is great for high temperature frying because its smoke point is high. But I love the fully saturated fat because it can't screw up with anything. It can't combine with anything. That's why this whole thing with heart disease and saturated fats is beyond stupid. I mean, elementary biochemistry is it can't combine with anything. That's why it's called saturated. And there's no saturated fat in a clogged artery. By the way, 85% of a clogged artery is parent omega-6 adulterated when we eat it. It does not go bad in the body. There's idiots on the internet too saying how bad the omega-6 with its 2 double bonds go bad in the body, or 3 double bonds. 2 double bonds, the omega-6 virtually doesn't go bad at all. The antioxidants take care of it. 3 double bonds, a little more reactive, but what they don't tell you is, and they're all promoting the 5 and 6 double bonds, EPA, DHA. Well, what about them? They're 20 times more reactive. We're not talking about that. It's unbelievable. All they do is talk about the parents being bad and the garbage they're telling you to have. Oxidizes 20 times worse, and the dosages they're giving you are insane. So again, being an engineer, the first question I did is, how much do we use a day? What? Yeah. How much DHA does the brain use every day? Nobody answered it until I started looking it up. And National Institutes of Health and U.S. Department of Agriculture ran studies telling it. They did radioisotope testing so they could tell how much went into the brain on a daily basis. It was 5 milligrams a day. 5. I've never seen anybody, Doc, pick that up from those researchers or from my work. 0.
Yeah,
and that should be where you start. It's appalling to me, the stupidity of all of this. And then the poor person is desperate and they believe anybody. Stop believing people.
Well,
Don't
that's why
believe,
we
and
have
don't even believe me. Look at the science.
Well, that's why we have our wellness warriors. Question
Excellent.
everything.
Yes.
Now I have a couple closing points.
Sure.
That I hope I remember. Dr. Professor Peskin is absolutely right. We live in a world where medical error, ladies and gentlemen, is the leading cause of death. And last year, over 800,000 deaths from properly prescribed pharmaceutical products.
Wow.
So one of my questions to Professor Peskin is Easy Trek. Now I know Dr. Jerry Smith uses it. I did talk to him. He says it's a great product. Is there a side effect profile except for maybe for the platelet adhesiveness that it decreases? Is there any side effect of Easy Trek that our listeners should know
any
about?
negative adverse effects? The answer is no. Well, Brian, I talked to somebody last week. There's always side effects of a drug. Said, number 1, this isn't a drug. It's a medical food. Number 2, this isn't processed. It's not processed at all. And the answer is no. Now, we've had 1 or 2 people sensitive to one of the oils over the past 25 years. That can always happen, but it's virtually 0. No reported side effects at all. If anything, you can get the kind of laser attention I do to talk like a bat out of hell like this, because I didn't used to be able to do this years ago. Before I had these oils, I could not do this. 5-6 hours sleep a night is all anybody needs. Energized throughout the day. Your kid should not have lack of attention. They should have laser focus. And everybody in the job. I just got a major cardiologist and works with kidney too. Major physician, MD, and he's starting Easy Trek himself to get the laser attention. He goes, that would be great. We have surgeons using this for the surgeries themselves. Lots of physicians themselves are using the product. And we advocate to any physician, use this yourself first, see what it does. And of course, if they don't have any ailments, they're not going to see much, but they will get more energy, more attention. So that alone is worth it for everybody. But again, easy trek if you have a disease disorder. And yes, supplements if you don't, if you just want to stay nutritionally healthy and balanced with EFAs. And your appetite will change. You will want less junk, like less cookies, cakes, pies. It's just like the cat can have its food sitting there all day long. If it's not hungry, it won't eat it. A lot of people, Ozempic and stuff, they don't have the money for it. No matter how good of a drug it may be and how much it helps with their appetite, if you can't afford it, it's worth trying your essential supplements because we get a great appetite fulfillment result. So if you can't afford the drug, it's worth checking with the supplement to see, because it absolutely helps a lot of people.
Well, you just put down the gauntlet. As soon as I get this program processed, I'm going to order some. I've been blessed with good health at age 84, but I'm gonna try some and just
That's
see
great.
what.
Yeah, my mother's 92, just laser sharp attention. She fell because she screwed up with her walker, broke her hip, healed perfectly. A lot of people that age break the hip, they're in the hospital, they're dead within 6 months. None of that. It's unbelievable. At 92, she's better than most 70-year-olds. It's unbelievable. But
Well,
she's using Easy Trek for the inflammation, and the healing was phenomenal.
I'm
Absolutely
going to
phenomenal.
try it. Now, Professor, just before first of all, let me just tell the listeners, after this program comes out at 4:00 today officially, and I have a chance to get the program transcribed, I will make that transcription available to anybody that contacts me at docronradio@gmail.com. There's a lot of information the professor gave you today. You might want to just look over. You may even want to take the transcript to your doctor. Okay. And if he says, if he poo-poos it all, you may want to start looking around for another doctor. That's
Good
my
point.
opinion.
Good point.
So Doc Ron Radio, DOCRON radio @gmail.com. I will send you a proof of the transcription. That's number one. Number two, with all this talk about parent essential oils and the physiological doses that the body really needs versus the pharmacological doses, I was thinking this morning, have you ever given any thought, Professor, to the multitude of vitamin supplements on the market today? 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, whatever the supplement, the more it seems like instead of less being more, it's more being more. Any thoughts about vitamin supplementation outside of your field of essential fatty acids?
Yeah, I don't do it. I mean, I used to be like everybody else 20 years ago, and I just got rid of them all. Vitamins are still in the food. There's a lot of things about the vitamins. I mean, people are taking B vitamins. I say, eat a steak, eat a hunk of meat. All the B vitamins are in there. Why would you be taking specific B vitamins? Vitamin C, most people don't know. Humans recycle it. Brian, we don't make it. Other animals make it. Correct. We recycle it. You got to really dig to find that point out. Now, is vitamin C good for injection? Is ozone good for, different things? But, like I said, vitamin C, IV, cancer, that sort of thing. Sure. But on a daily basis, doesn't do anything to stop you getting sick. That's all garbage. Vitamin D is a hormone. And another thing with all this vitamin nonsense is, why is everything now an epidemic of this, an epidemic of that, epidemic of nobody has enough vitamin D? How come they didn't in 1950? Is everybody vitamin D deficient back then? By the way, vitamin D is made from the skin interacting with the sunlight, the cholesterol in the skin. The cholesterol in the skin is esterified, meaning magnetized to the PEOs, the parent essential oils. So everything is tied to this. And by the way, the EFA in the skin is all parent omega-6. There's no parent omega-3 in the skin. There's no fish oil in the skin. Now, if you're eating the fish oil supplements, the marine oil supplements, what happens? That gets shoved into the skin when it's not supposed to be there. And where's your problem with skin cancer? It's the heat. It's not the sun itself. The heat. Remember, it goes bad? Well, it goes bad at 70 degrees. Touch your skin, it's probably going to be 100 plus degrees. I'm in Texas. It's an easy 100 degrees outside. Touch the skin, it's going to be higher. And that's the problem. That's why the dermatologists don't have a clue. And if you think sunscreen is going to do anything, it doesn't. So their head keeps spinning. It's all tied to these oils. And I've got a whole program at brianpeskin.com. It's a big $30. It has my books, Hidden Story of Cancer, PEO Solution, 24-hour diet, 20 different reports, audios, videos. I made it basically a giveaway. So people that care about their health can get this, and not enough people are taking advantage of it, Doc. They're wasting their time watching TV and amusements and on the road to ill health. It's just incredible for me today. I mean, people don't want to take charge. You're trying to, but they're not doing it.
Yeah, it's a mass psychosis they have going out there with millions of dollars a day in advertising and just getting into people's brains.
Right, you are.
And the sad part is that my profession, my medical profession, is going along with it. They are being bought.
I know.
It's just a disgrace.
Didn't used to be. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I think this program here is going to be listened to all over the place. And I'm like I said, I'm willing to make this available to you, the transcript to you, if you just drop me a note. And I want to thank the Professor Peskin, and I'm just looking here while we're talking. Most of our listeners came from the United States, but our listening in Japan, Australia, United Kingdom, Canada has all gone up this past week. So I think when they hear what you have to say today, I think it'll be incredible.
They want the truth. Yep. I only give the truth. Yeah. That's my job. And my job is to give information you haven't heard before, because everybody's time is valuable, especially physicians. And that's my main audience. I consult with a lot of physicians around the world. I don't waste their time by giving them garbage they know. I give them the info they don't know, because I live in the world of hard physiologic lipid science that they don't read. It's not their charter. It's not their fault. Right. You just don't have time. You're treating patients.
Professor, hear this short clip.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
There you go.
Problem.
There you go.
Handle the truth. That's why I keep that little clip on the board. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't want to make this too long, because I want you to really listen to this program. I want you to tell your friends about episode 564, Dr. Ron, Unfiltered, Uncensored, Professor Peskin on ditching toxic fish oils and practical things to do about it. It isn't esoteric. You can change your diet. You can get the proper organic oils, and you can take the supplements or the easy trek. Okay, so it's all in this program today. That was the goal that Professor Peskin and I had for today. Get the information in one place. So we did do that. Mission accomplished, as I would say when I was in the Army. And I am going to ask Doctor, you got to get your PhD. I got to ask Professor Peskin that in 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the emails and whatever, maybe we should just do a Q&A and see
the
wellness warriors are thinking out there.
Sure.
So with that, Professor, thank you. God bless. Have a great day, and we will
already did. Thank you.
See you again. Bye.
Bye. Much appreciated.
Hey everybody, Dr. Ron's finished for today. I hope you got some good wisdom for what the man had to say. If it's all about good health, he's the man you got to see. He has a lot more answers for you. So tune in next week when the doctor is in the house. Or when the doctor is in the house. And let the doctor know what's bothering you. when the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house.